Hello everyone, welcome back. We're at Figure Friday. So today we have Sergeant Stalker here. Kind of started doing a little bit of like a history on some of these figures, so I figure I'd kind of continue on with this here a little bit. Alright, so let's see if I can get this going here. Alright, so his real name is Lorenzo R. Wilkins, and his rank is that of an E9 Sergeant Major. His original rank was that of a Sergeant E5. Stalker was born in Detroit. He was the first Ranger selected to the G.I. Joe team. His primary specialty was infantry, and his secondary military specialties were interceptor and medic. Stalker was the leader of an urban street gang in Detroit before enlisting in the Army. He graduated top of his class in basic combat training and advanced infantry training. Stalker also received special training in the U.S. Army Language School in Monterey, Intelligence School at Fort Hollenberg, and Ranger School at Fort Benning. Wonderful Fort Benning. Okay. He is fluent in Spanish, French, Arabic, and Swahili. He served in the same LRRP as Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Stalker is also qualified jump instructor and qualified expert in all NATO and Warsaw Pact small arms. He is a qualified expert on the M14, M16, M1911A1 auto pistols, M3A1 grease gun, and the M32 pulverizer submachine gun. His fluency in foreign languages, coupled with his experience in commanding other people, made him a valuable asset. And after joining the G.I. Joe team, he often served as leader in their many missions. So he is one of the few characters from the first line of toys to have a distinct appearance from the other action figures. As he is African American, Stalker is a major character in the G.I. Joe comic book series published by Marvel Comics, and has also been featured in the series from Devil's Due Publishing in the animated series. However, he received very little screen time after the first miniseries, and his absence from the later series G.I. Joe Sigma 6. So, I grew up watching the cartoon, so really I didn't see Stalker all that much, so I really didn't realize exactly how important he really is. So, it's wonderful to be able to see him and kind of learn about him as well. Being what do we have him as a command sergeant major or sergeant major? E9 sergeant major. All right, so he's a sergeant major. Still, that's very respectable for anyone to make sergeant major. I mean, you've been in for quite a few years. You have to keep going back to schooling and all that other stuff. Stuff I never got into because I did not stay in that long. I promised my wife I'd get out, and I did. We weren't married at the time, but that's all here and there, and doesn't mean I can't get into doing the role-playing games and other stuff. I told her if I make that promise, I'm going to keep that promise. That's really the big thing here. So to have someone that's well versed in a wide variety of things, he has a number of languages that he can talk. Makes him very suitable to be able to put in different theaters. So yeah, it's wonderful to see a figure like this, a well distinguished figure, more in the comic book, less so in the animated series. I picked him up because he's a nice looking figure. We get to add him. I know that he's he's been in the series for a long time. I just didn't know his whole background. So, and I got that from Joepedia here. trying to look it up in the same places most other people do, and thankfully there's a lot of wonderful people that actually add to Joepedia, even though like sometimes with like Wikipedia and stuff like that, because I have a little bit more knowledge on some of the Star Wars stuff because I've been digging through a lot more of the books. G.I. Joe was one of those that it was nice being able to watch the cartoon every week, or every day actually, because I remember getting up early so I could watch the cartoons. Get up early, get ready, watch the cartoon, go to school, all that fun stuff. Kind of like Transformers, the same thing. But to be able to see what some of the other write-ups and everything else is really wonderful here. So as we get him out of the package, and he is a nice looking figure, and he's got a bunch of nice guns here. So nice combat knife. Now I'm going to kind of throw this out here. I don't expect them to really do it because I don't know how you're going to do it with the small plastics and all that. But if we could take the knives and somehow make it also a bayonet to put on her, that would be wonderful. But now we're adding a lot of extra features on here. I just don't know how you're going to do it, so I'm just being honest. It would be cool, but I just don't know exactly how you'd do it. So I know that we do have a lot of extra features with some of these weapons, with the silencers and all that stuff, which is wonderful. It really is. And we have magazines that are coming out of the rifles and all that stuff. So I don't want anyone to think I'm not appreciative of it. And that's one of the reasons why I started really collecting the 6-inch figure line. Because let's face it, how cool is it that we finally have a line that we have a sheath here, we have a holster, and it actually works. If this is what we had when I was a kid, I'd be ecstatic. Although, looking at the price and everything today compared to what we were paying then, I'm pretty certain my parents wouldn't be buying me very many of these then or today either. And I didn't really have very many G.I. Joes when I was a kid. Honestly, I'm struggling to remember my parents ever buying me a G.I. Joe. So I think I got a couple secondhand from trading something to a friend or something like that. And maybe I had a couple bucks to scrape together and do it myself. But looking at what we have here, he's got his normal joints. We have the boot here, so we have our boot joint here. We have the double knee. Although his holster might be or the scabbard here on this side might be a little bit in the way. Maybe I can move that up a little bit. And he's got his holster here. And we have our joint. He's got that double, so he can move his arm back a little bit extra and forward a little bit, so that gives him a little extra range of motion, which is wonderful. He's got a nice looking face on him. He's got that, honestly, he does. He's got that look to me almost like one of my old first sergeants. So, he's been around. He's seen enough things. He's like kind of no nonsense. Let's get the job done, and then we can go off to Miller time. And that's one of the things I do remember the first sergeant saying. Look, we have a job to do. Let's get it done. After that, then it's Miller time, and let's get out of here. So. This knife is a little thicker. It's not so rubbery. And then we also have, we have silencer and all that. So I have tape on it all. So let's look at this. So magazine, I'm going to say, yeah, that's going to stay in there. And we do have a hole here, so we have a nice brick silencer that fits in there. That takes that 1911 and turns it into a nice big chunky monkey here. That's going to quiet it down a couple knocks here. We have his nice booty cap here. I don't know. I know that they've come out and I think black berets are available for everyone nowadays. When I was in, The only ones that had berets were people that went through extra special schooling, and like Green Berets, and I think black was for jump school or whatever. So they gave them a little bit of an option there. But okay, so we have another nice submachine gun here. All right. What I'm missing here, this is going to be a magazine. That's what it's going to be. If I can think of this correctly. Am I backwards on this? No, I'm right. There we go. There's the magazine. Alright, so we got the magazine in there. And this one is belt fed. So, let's see. Belt always goes off to the same side. So we always eject out on the right here. So it's always fed on the left. So that looks nice. It really does. And of course, when I was in, so many moons ago, we had plastic boxes for the ammo, which I thought was funny, and I didn't typically carry a saw, M249 saw, but we had one field problem where I ended up doing a 12-mile road march with a saw, and this box is plastic, so the ammo is just constantly just bouncing around in that plastic box. And it's funny because you're not sneaking up on anyone with that. It's just the things that it is. There's not much you can do. Okay, so let's see, so we have a spot in the holster, so I can take the silencer off. We can put the silencer here in our holster. We could put the 1911 in there. Wonderful gun, very iconic. I like it, I really do. He was a very cool gentleman for that. Alright, now I don't know if I can get this over his head or not. Look in here, we have a smoke grenade. We have a couple pouches. I don't know what he's going to put in there. Probably like a little first aid kit in there. Typically, we had like a little pouch that was right up here, and we always carried, shoot, I can't remember what the bandage was called. It's kind of like a universal bandage there. Boy, if that doesn't give him a nice look. There. Now he looks ready to roll. Alright, can we get this lined up here? And then we'll give him the... Now, I will be honest, I don't know what machine gun this is supposed to be. With having this in the front and all that stuff, I really don't know what this is supposed to be. There's part of this that looks like it should be like almost like an M60 or something in a way, but I'm not exactly certain here. Let's see. This must be the pulverizer, maybe? The M32 pulverizer? Well, the other one, M3A1 grease gun. I don't know. That doesn't look like a grease gun to me, but maybe it's a, he is a very striking figure, I will say that. And knowing that he's an E9, that really kind of changes things. I do have a list of what everybody's rank is supposed to be, which... G.I. Joe's always been interesting in a lot of regards, because you could have someone that's an E4 sometimes put in charge of others that are of higher rank because of the mission specialty, okay? So if you have a mission that really requires somebody that's of a lower rank, but they have the knowledge for that mission, they're kind of the ones in charge. So it's always kind of interesting in that regard. And because I'm an old military man myself, I go off the rank. Now, you might say, hey, this person's got the lead on it. so we'll kind of follow their lead, but still it kind of goes through the rank. And even that person would say, hey, Sergeant, we have to do this. Okay, I'm trusting your judgment on this, so let's get it done. I could see that very well. I don't know. G.I. Joe has always been one of those, because they always created wonderful characters. I'm going to sit here and say that, they were given a toy line, hey, let's make this figure. So they come up with, okay, so here's Stalker, and they come out with a nice background to say, hey, this is what he is, what he's done. He even was in charge of running a gang in Detroit. So he took that same leadership skill and then put it to great use in the Army. It's just wonderful to take things like that. To me, it means a lot. And I think that's the reason why G.I. Joe has always really stayed in the forefront for a lot of guys my age, because they took not just a figure to say, hey, let's throw this out here, but you put a wonderful story, like with Stalker here, and this is the character. I mean, we see Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in the cartoon. Before they really start bringing Snake Eyes into the cartoon, we see Spirit, and Spirit was kind of filling that same thing. But so you have a great liking for characters for the things that they do, and that's also why Transformers themselves, they do so well, because everyone looks at Optimus Prime. He is a great father figure. Sometimes in the military you have to be a father figure. Sometimes you have to be a real hard butt on things. But it's just the whole thing. Sometimes it's just that tough love. You have to get something through to somebody's thick skull to get them going. But as far as a figure goes, this is a very nice looking figure, very solid. I really like how they did them. I would say this, if you wanted to, I don't know how well the hands come off, but if you really wanted to, you could almost pick up a second one of these, and if you had one of the generic kind of head mounts or whatever, you could maybe put that on him too. Because, I mean, they didn't give him a lot of extra flair. I mean, he's got a little bit more of a basic look. So if you wanted to try and make a little bit of an army builder, and you had a couple of the generic kind of helmeted heads, and the hardest thing for me to recommend that is some of these ball joints that connect them are different. So, they're different sizes. I know there's guys that are really good at modifying that. I don't do the greatest, so I'm just being honest, and I don't think I'd change it. But if you know what you're doing, you could almost take one of those helmeted heads and take his off and put it on. But definitely keep one of these the way he is, because he deserves to be there. He's another lead character. I think he should be in charge of a small force of his own. Give him a young lieutenant, and then see what kind of havoc they could reap on Cobra. So there we are, Sergeant Stalker. Nice figure, really worth the buy. It really is. Nicely done. Very nice, solid figure. Comes with some pretty good guns here. So if you're just looking for a figure with guns, great. His history is wonderful, though, to be able to put him in there. So I'll make sure I when I get a shelf, I'm going to have to try and make sure I get him with maybe my other figures, like the steel core figures behind him or something like that. Like he's trying to lead them and trying to get them with their heads on straight. So with that, thanks for visiting. It's always appreciated. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.